Hey everybody, Eric here with a Yahoo Fantasy College Football Pickem final week preview. We're going to go ahead and talk about how the standings look with 1 week remaining in Fantasy College Football Pickem play, and talk about how the Zona Zookeepers group is going to have to fight it out over the final week, breaking down each of the 14 games on the upcoming slate. Let's go right to it and take a look at the overall standings. It's very tight amongst the top 7 teams. Remember, out of the 11 teams in this group, 7 teams still have a very realistic shot of walking away the winner and taking home the gold trophy. G-Hack currently sits atop the standings, having picked 212 games correctly. That's a winning percentage of just over 57%. Second place and just 2 games out of first is That's Grenade with 210 picked correctly. Third place, just 4 games out of first, Wilbur's Fist with 208. Fourth is Urinal Cakes, just 5 games out of first place at 207. And fifth is AS Who, 206 picked correctly, just 6 games out of first place, and just 2 picks separate third from fifth. Sixth place, New Jersey Irish, 204 picked correctly, only 8 points, only 8 picks out of first place, and still very much alive for the top 3. And 7th place, Wildcat Rules, has definitely rallied over the course of the season. 202 picks correctly, picked correctly, and just 10 spots out, or 10 points out of first place. Rounding out the rest of the field, 8th place is Messin' with Sasquatch with 194. 9th is Andale Gatos with 191. 10th, Fight Wildcats Fight with 185. And 11th is Trailer Park Ninjas with 172 picked correctly. So let's look at the slate of games that you'll be able to choose from heading into the final week, week 14 in the Zona Zookeepers League. Moving up the board here, your first 2 games are going to take place on Friday. The Friday slate features 2 games. Game 1 is going to be number 24, Northern Illinois, going at Miami of Ohio. This is the MAC championship game, the Mid-American Conference Championship. Northern Illinois opens a 16.5 point favorite. The last matchup between these 2 teams last season, a 27-22 win for Northern Illinois. Northern Illinois comes in 10-2 overall and undefeated, 8-0 in conference after winning the West Division of the MAC. And Miami of Ohio comes in 8-4, 7-1 in conference after winning the East Division of the MAC. So the MAC conference title will be game number 1. Game number 2 on the slate, Illinois at Fresno State. Illinois opens a 5.5 point favorite. Last matchup between these 2 was last year, with Fresno State coming out on top 53-52. Illinois is 6-5 coming in, tied with Iowa for 4th in the Big Ten. Fresno comes in 7-4, 4th in the WAC coming into this one. Then we move to Saturday for the remaining games. Game 3 on your slate is going to be Rutgers at number 23, West Virginia. West Virginia actually opens a 20-point favorite coming in. Last matchup between these 2, 24-21 West Virginia last season. West Virginia comes in 8-3, 4-2 in conference, and tied for 1st in the Big East, and actually has a shot at the BCS bowl bid that comes out of the Big East if they can win with some help. Rutgers comes into this one 4-7, 1-5 in conference, dead last in the Big East. Game number 4 on your slate, another Big East battle. Cincinnati will host Pittsburgh. Cincinnati comes in a 2-point favorite in this one. Last matchup between these 2 was a 45-44 barn burner won by Cincinnati last year. Cincinnati comes in 4-7 this year, though, 2-4 in conference, and 7th out of 8 in the Big East. Pittsburgh 6-5, but 4-2 in conference, and actually tied for 1st in the Big East. And with a win and some help, can still go to a BCS bowl game, so they have a lot to play for here. Game 5 on your slate, number 14, Nevada heads to Louisiana Tech. Nevada comes in an 11.5 point favorite. Last matchup between these 2 took place last year, a 37-14 win for Nevada. Nevada's 11-1 and 6-1 in conference. They're 2nd in the WAC after upsetting Boise State last week at home. And they actually have a shot at the WAC championship still, with a win and some help. Louisiana Tech is 5-6 coming in, 4-3 in conference, 5th in the WAC. They can actually become bowl eligible with a victory, so Louisiana Tech certainly won't roll over in this one. Game 6 on your slate, Utah State has the dubious honor of heading to Boise State. Number 9 Boise State coming off a loss, opens 39.5-point favorites. Last matchup between these two was a 52-21 thumping by Boise State last year. Boise State 10-1, 6-1 in conference, tied for second in the WAC. They can actually still win the WAC championship, but they were eliminated from their BCS title hopes after their loss to Nevada last week. Utah State comes into this one 4-7, 2-5 in conference. Game 7 on your slate. Number 1, Oregon going to Oregon State for the Civil War. Oregon comes into this one 16-point favorites. The last matchup between these two was last year. A barn burner there, 37-33 in favor of Oregon. Oregon's undefeated, 11-0, 8-0 in conference, and they are the official Pac-10 champions. A win would send them to the BCS championship game. Oregon State needs a win to become bowl eligible. They come into this one 5-6, 4-4 in conference, and still a lot of pride on the line in this heated rivalry. Game 8 on your slate. Number 2 Auburn at number 18 South Carolina. This is the SEC championship game. Auburn opens a 5-point favorite as this one comes up on the board. Last matchup September 25th of this year, with Auburn winning 35-27. Auburn's 12-0, 8-0 in conference. They won the SEC West. A win would send them to the BCS championship game. South Carolina comes in 9-3, 5-3 in conference, and winner of the SEC East. A win would put this team in a BCS bowl. Game number 9 on your slate, the Apple Cup. Washington heads to Washington State. Washington opens 7-point favorites on the road. Last matchup between these two was last year, with Washington shutting out Washington State 30-0. Washington comes in 5-6, 4-4 in conference, tied for third in the Pac-10. They need a win to be bowl eligible here. Washington State, not much to play for, dead last in the Pac-10, 2-9 overall, 1-7 in conference. Game number 10 on your slate is number 20 Florida State and number 12 Virginia Tech. This one is the ACC championship. Virginia Tech comes in 4-point favorites as things open up. Last matchup between these two was actually 2008, with Florida State winning that 30-20. Va-Tech comes in 10-2 overall, undefeated 8-0 in conference after sweeping the Coastal Division. Florida State 9-3 overall, 6-2 in conference. They won the Atlantic Division. The winner of this matchup goes to a BCS bowl game. Game 11 on your slate, number 13 Nebraska and number 10 Oklahoma. This is the Big 12 championship. No opening favorite, as no line has been posted just yet. Last matchup between these two was last season, with Nebraska coming out on top 10-3. Nebraska's 10-2 overall, 6-2 in conference. They won the North Division. Oklahoma 10-2 overall, 6-2 in conference. They won the South Division. The winner of this one goes to a BCS bowl game, and Nebraska is going to be playing a Big 12 opponent as a member of the Big 12 for the final time. Game 12 on your slate, Connecticut at South Florida. South Florida opens 1.5-point favorites here in a tight one. Last matchup was last season, with a 29-27 victory going the way of Connecticut. Connecticut's 7-4 coming in, 4-2 in conference. A win would clinch the Big East and a BCS bowl game for this school. While South Florida comes in 7-4, 3-3 in conference, coming off their first ever win against Miami of Florida. Game 13, USC at UCLA. USC opens 7-point favorites in this one. Last matchup between these two schools was last season, with a 28-7 victory going to USC. USC 7-5, 4-4 in conference, but they are not bowl eligible due to NCAA sanctions, while UCLA comes in 4-7, 2-6 in conference. This is an important game, though, for everybody in the Zona Zookeepers group, as it is one of the two tiebreaker score predictions, and tiebreakers could wind up deciding things, with things so tight amongst the top 7 in the group. The final game of the week is game number 14. UNLV heads to number 25, Hawaii. Hawaii opens 34.5-point favorites coming in. Last matchup between these two was a barn burner last year, with UNLV winning it 34-33. Hawaii comes in 9-3 overall, leads the WAC conference there, and can clinch the WAC championship with a win. UNLV's 2-10 coming in, 2-6 in conference, and 7th out of 9 in the Mountain West. But this is also a tiebreaker score prediction game, which could wind up playing a big factor in the Zona Zookeepers group. So, that's what the 14 games look like, as everybody will have a shot to take their stake at gold with 1 week on the line and a bunch of teams battling it out. 7 squads, just 10 points apart with 1 week to go. I also want to point out to everybody that College Bowl Pickem is now open. You can actually join College Bowl Pickem. Everybody in the group is welcome to join that. You can find out all the info you'll need either over on Facebook, if you check your Facebook inbox, or on the league page for the College Pickem page. The Zona Zookeepers page will have all the info you need under recent messages, so you want to check that out. I definitely want to see everybody in the group jump on over to the bowl predictions game, which will kick off as soon as the first bowls are announced, and we'll definitely let everybody know when that takes place. You can sign up and pick who you think is going to win each bowl. So that's another contest. So the college football season does not have to end with this one. So I hope to see everybody back next week. We'll definitely break down who wound up taking home the gold in the Zona Zookeepers group. Until then, this has been Eric, and good luck to everybody.